What happens when you take two American Jews, two Israeli Jews, turn on the microphones, and talk about the Middle East? It's all here. This is the Jewish Road Podcast.
Every tribe, every tongue, Emmanuel, your king shall come. End of sorrows, end of pain, come and praise Creator's name.
Hey, well, welcome to the Jewish Road Podcast. My name is Matt Davis, and I'm here with you.
Yeah, you're always here with me. I'm Ron Davis, and we're here with friends that we have just made from Israel.
Yeah, we've been friends for a good 15 minutes now. So, Moshe and Sasha, welcome to Lexington, Kentucky.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, so we're having you out here because in Israel, it's a different time. And so we want to talk through that a little bit, but we're going to be hosting an event with you tomorrow for Shabbat. We'll have some bagels and some stories, and we'll talk about some of the jewelry and things that you're doing there. But Moshe, give us a little bit of background. Were you born in Israel? How did your Israel story start, and what have you been doing for the last 30 years?
I was born in Israel, born and raised in Israel. Like anybody else, did my army service and the whole thing. Started my professional career as a software engineer and wrote softwares and all sorts of things. And after some years, decided that I need to completely change and go work with people rather than with computers. And so I started being a guide. Took the two and a half years university for being a guide. Started my own guiding business. Been a guide for the last 32 years. Have my own tour company for the last 10 years or so.
People don't understand also that to be a guide in Israel, it takes work.
Yeah.
And we've brought groups over there, people who've gone to church their whole life. And what they get surprised by is just how much the tour guides know.
Yeah. So the 2.5 years is basically nothing. It's the base of the base. After that, you realize you don't know anything. And then you have to start doing lots of self-study and seminars. And then you have to specialize in something. So I specialize in Christian theology and Jewish theology.
Huh?
So most of my tours are Christian tours.
Yeah.
And a lot of Christian tours from a Jewish perspective or Jewish point of view. But that's something you get over the years.
Right.
So over the last 30 years, it's a matter of long-term development and studying.
That's right.
But yeah, it is a lot of study and a lot of work to try to get to a point where you tell people, those are people that know the Bible.
Right.
And they've been in the church, they read the Bible all their life, and yet you manage to tell them something new.
Yeah.
And that's the point.
Yeah, they say, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because they usually just drive by.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
passages.
I always like to tell people when we start the tour that, you know how you read the Bible all the time? Lots of times, I think most people do that. You get to a place that has weird names of places in Hebrew that you don't know how to pronounce. Or you skip over to the next page.
Right.
Or distances or whatever, you skip over the next page.
Right.
When we tour and we point out those places and turn up, say, here's the distances, and this is why it took 3 walking days, and this is why it took 7 walking days, and here's the topography, and here's where you go downhill or uphill, and here's what Jewish people used to do as their daily life. And all of a sudden it clicks, and people say, whoa, wow, yeah. And next time when they read the Bible, they will stop there and read it and understand it much better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we realize that a lot of people, they know the people of the Bible, they don't know the places. And so we often say that Israel, the land, is the 5th gospel. It's this thing that makes everything come alive. And people always say, what do we have to read before we get to Israel? I say, read whatever you want. You're going to have to reread the whole thing after, right?
Exactly.
Let's come back to that. Sasha, were you born and raised in Israel? Where did you come from? And
I came from Russia. I came to Israel when I was 15. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I'm Jewish, okay, because my family, they are Holocaust survivor, and they didn't want me to go through all this anti-Semitic way, okay? So once they realized that I'm Jewish, it was like, whoa, good to know.
yeah.
And I really want to be in the place where I belong to.
Mm.
So I came to the program called Naale, that's
Youth before parents. So youth come first and then maybe parents.
coming before the parents.
Okay.
So it was 3 years program, and then I I just stay in Israel and serve army and became in love in my country.
Yeah.
So it was very funny story. I didn't know nothing about like Christianity. Okay, I only from Catholic perspective. Okay,
Yeah.
and then when I started to work in the Ancient Boat Museum, I realized that it's another Christianity in the world. Okay,
Yeah.
and you guys not to want to kill me, and you also open heart, and it was completely changing
Your perspective
my
on it.
perspective on my Christianity.
So you were up, and so people who've been to Israel, you were at the Jesus boat, is what everybody calls it. It's up in the north part of the Sea of Galilee. They find this 2,000-year-old boat, and now there's a museum there. So you're there, and you're learning that Christians don't hate you as much as you were told. What was the story? What did you know about Christians before actually meeting them?
I knew that they just want to kill you, okay, and they try to kill you during Holocaust, okay.
So the Nazis were Christians, is the story, right?
And the Inquisition and the Spanish Inquisition and some of the Crusaders and whatever. I'll interrupt in a second. That's actually something that lots of Israelis share as well, because in Israel, Christians are either Catholics or Orthodox. And both of them think that you're the one who crucified Jesus, and that's why they don't like you.
Right.
So as somebody who is not exposed to other Christianity, they don't really understand that there's other type of Christians. That's probably where she was before she discovered this Christianity.
When did you discover that there was other Christians out there who were not like those that Moshe is talking about?
So I started to work in the Ancient Boat Museum,
Yeah.
okay, and I started to manage this place. And suddenly I saw a lot of people coming and singing. They are so happy.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, what's going on here? That we are the same land. If I'm missing something,
Uh-huh.
and I asked Moshe once, can he join once to his group, okay, to the whole trip to understand what you are guys going through during this trip.
Right.
And it was one day he calls me, okay, I have a group. If you want to join, you are welcome. I was like, of course, I'm coming.
Yeah.
And this is how it started.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing.
And so she was exposed to, like say, a different kind of Christianity.
Yeah.
And also exposed to the fact that people read the Bible and connect that to the places and have a heart for Israel and all those kind of things that were not so clear. And then she would understand why they would come to the Jesus Boat Museum and be so excited.
Right.
And all those kind of things.
Yeah.
By the way, it's Shabbat. Do you smell the challah that just came?
But yeah,
It's a little distracting.
It's a great smell.
Maybe we'll sneak some a little bit in here.
You know, I got to say, in listening to the both of you, you know, there's like an immediate kinship amongst us because, you know, my grandparents came from Russia to the United States, and you were born in Israel.
Yeah.
I was born in Little Israel in Brooklyn, New
Yeah.
York.
Yeah.
So we come from a lot of the same experiences and backgrounds and all that. You talk about the Holocaust, and you know, most of my family we lost in the Holocaust. I didn't even get to know them.
Yeah.
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 So, but you came into Israel and you found a whole other group of people that actually didn't think you killed Jesus.
They actually love you.
Yeah.
Okay, they want to hug you. They want to bring you joy. And this is what I was like, whoa.
Wow.
Good for you.
Does it make you a little jealous?
No, it just filled my heart with a lot of hope, okay, and joy.
Yeah.
This is the point where I started read Bible, okay, and now I'm doing my Bible studying with one of the ladies. So I really want to explore more about religion, and yeah, it's interesting because like Jewish religion, it's so close. It's kind of much more private, okay?
Yep.
And when you're going to Christianity, you're guys so open heart and warming and loving. and it makes me happy.
So when you say you're doing a Bible study, are you saying also Brit Chadashah, the New Testament?
That's all.
Okay.
But you have to understand that Sasha grew up without religion at all, because in Russia, you grew up without religion, not Jewish, not Christian.
Okay.
So she's just discovering new things. I mean, we, at least at school, study Bible, maybe not in a religious way, but we study Bible, we study also familiar with those kind of things. She, until 15, didn't really know anything.
Didn't know anything. Would you say that you hadn't experienced? Did you experience a negative perspective of Christianity up to that time?
In Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah, in schools, like.
But when you left, it was different.
I left Tunisia because I want to be in the place where I belong to.
Right.
Not to be scared to be Jewish or to be myself. And I started to read like Old Testament, and it's like when you are coming to Israel, and I literally like just went from the airplane and kissed the ground. Okay,
Yeah.
this is my homeland. So
Yeah, it's good. So a lot's changed in Israel. You've run a tour agency.
Yeah.
The first hit,
hopefully.
Yeah. The first hit was COVID, and that was. How do you actually? And really, much of Israel and the economy is based on tourism. I remember, there were even in 2023 when I was there a couple times last year. It was record-setting tourism, 9 million people or something coming through,
and they were just hoping for it to grow bigger. So it's not only the direct group that deals with tourism, like tour companies and tour guides and bus drivers, but there's also around. There's restaurants and souvenir shops and hotels and taxi drivers, and I mean, lots of people who are affected.
Right.
And when there's no tourism, it affects a whole lot, and it also affects lots of people in the peripheral rather than in the center, because lots of those businesses are outside in the peripheries. And it affects both Arabs and Jews, because there's also lots of Arabs in this industry.
Yeah.
So all of that is affected. So COVID stopped everything, but COVID at least was something global. So you could say it's not just us, it's the entire world, so all suffering. But after COVID ended, and also during COVID, I mean, during the second half of COVID, they did allow groups to come, and people came.
Yep.
There were lots of restrictions and lots of weird things, exams and checks and blood tests and all those things.
All that. And in the airport.
Did it all.
Yeah.
But people came and toured. The war is different. And after COVID ended, those few months, but till October 7, it seemed that it's going to hit records again, because there were lots of groups and lots of people came. And when the war started, people thought, okay, so it's, we're used to wars. So it's another month, another 2 or 3, and the war will end.
It's a skirmish.
It's a little different now. This is not small.
Right.
This is the first time that it's over a year, and hopefully it's going to an end, but it's a lot more serious. And tourism dropped, of course, and people stopped coming. But it's a hit after a hit, because, you already ate all your savings during COVID.
Right.
And you're hoping to make new savings, and now you have to dig into whatever was left from your savings to survive the war as well. And that's not good.
What does that look like for you, just as a business owner in Israel? How did you pivot? What did you do?
So first of all, business stopped.
Right.
So you work hard, because you work on rescheduling groups. So you move people from date to date. You work on cancellations. So you return people their money, and then you try to play with the numbers. It's a lot of daily trying to, negotiate everything and navigate everything. And you try to convince groups to postpone the trip and not completely cancel it, but postpone it in 6 months, hoping that things will get better. And then 6 months pass, and then they say, now what? And you try to convince them to come next year. So it's all a daily struggle. It's a lot of work for nothing.
That's right.
That's the bottom line. And also because I'm a travel agency, not just a guide, I hire other guides and other drivers. So I can hire them. So I have no income. I have workers. They don't have any income. It's not easy.
So you had to do things like start teaching your website. You're doing pictures.
Yeah, but those things that I did, it's not a way. It's a way to keep me busy. It's not a way to make money.
Right.
I mean, we did a series of videos on my website, but it was just for people who follow me, so they'll have a bit more. Didn't charge for it, or didn't do anything from it. They did photography for my book, but it's a book that I give to people who come on my groups. And so there's no money in that. But it is things that I always wanted to do and just didn't have the time to do it. And we went into together with Sasha into this jewelry thing that we're doing, hoping that this will create some alternative income in this time until tourism will start coming back again. But I mean, like me, there's many others. Lots of people some people could go to find, and that's, by the way, we think always that there will be a big problem in the tourism industry when things get back to normal, because lots of guides simply stepped out, just went doing something else because there's no way they could survive.
Right.
Lots of hotels closed, lots of restaurants closed. Not everybody can survive the whole year of war, and hoping that they will start over again. But tourism is a bug. I think if you keep coming, you know that if you're in tourism, you'll just want to do tourism all the time, and you're always optimistic, thinking that things will get better.
Yeah, and there's as a result of what has happened since October 7th, there's a large part of Israel, of the country, that we can't even have access to now.
Yeah. So roughly speaking, I mean, now you can get access to the south bordering with Gaza, but at least for the first 2 or 3 months of the war, you couldn't get there because the war was still going on there.
Yeah.
In other words, inside Gaza, that area is sort of safe. I wouldn't say completely safe. There's still rockets flying, but sort of safe. At least safe from ground attacks. That's not going to happen anymore.
Yeah.
But in Lebanon, when we decided to go to Lebanon a couple of months ago, ever since October 8th, and that's a question people asked me in a church in Chattanooga when I was talking the other day. Why did Israel decide to attack in Lebanon if the war is in Gaza with Hamas?
That's right.
Because they didn't realize that Hezbollah joined the war on October 8th. That since October 8th, they're daily shooting missiles into Israel, causing the whole Jewish cities, towns, and villages, like where Sasha lived, Beidendorf, to evacuate, to not be there for more than 400 years. And then started shooting missiles even further into Haifa and even into the center.
Tel Aviv.
And so it's not that we decided to go attack Lebanon. I mean, we should have done it on October 8th. It just wanted to finish the war in Gaza first and then go deal with Lebanon. And so right now, you cannot go to areas, let's say, above the Sea of Galilee and up, like Caesarea Philippi, then Kiryat Shmona, Metula, that side of the border.
Right.
There are missile sirens and alarms also in Haifa and the coast. Every now and then there's missiles in the center as well, towards Tel Aviv, towards the center. I mean, you could be there and you could tour and you could visit if you came. You would hear probably sirens a couple of times a day.
What about the people? How are the people of Israel doing? How are they dealing with it? I know that there's a resilience, but there's also a lot of trauma. What are you seeing? What are you feeling? What are you hearing?
It is actually what I try to extend to my friends. We are all out of energy, kind of, okay? And we are waiting for our hostage go
To return.
To be released,
Yeah.
and it's complicated because you don't know what you have a plans, okay? So you are waking up in the morning and you have your whole plan, and you know what it could change any minute, any second, and even you are calculated your driving, okay? You know what you need to drive from a point A to point B, and so. Okay, if it will be some sirens, there should I stop? How I will do that? And for example, I have 2 kids and 2 dogs. Okay, and if I'm driving all of them, who will be the first going out of the car?
And who is responsible to pick which dog and go to a bomb shelter or whatever, because you have to do it in like a minute or so.
Yeah.
Complicated. I personally I didn't feel comfortable to go to some coffee shops or restaurants, because how can I do that if we have our people in tunnels in Gaza? So it didn't feel me like a right thing to do. I don't know, no cinema, no theater. For me, it doesn't feel like a right time. into place to be.
Yeah.
Also, something that more on a practical level for her, because she was evacuated from the north and she had to go find a new place to stay.
Right.
She's obviously in the center, which means the kids have to start new schools
Mm.
and be with new friends and sort of start all over again.
Yeah.
But it's uncertain because tomorrow the war can end. And then they can say, okay, you can go up to the north. And now what? After a year in the center, you're going to move to the north and start all over again, or you stay in the center. It's not what you planned ahead of time. So you don't know what's next, what to come.
There's no consistency.
Yeah,
Why?
you just live from like day to day, basically.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you actually had to relocate, and you did. You had to move into the center of Israel.
We actually we moved 4 times this year.
4 times.
What times?
4.
In a year.
Yeah, because when the war started, we came to the center, and it was very nice family who just opened the garage for us. Okay, so we slept in garage, and then it was another family who opened
Like a second floor in their house that was empty. A grandmother died or whatever, so they said you can stay here for like a while.
So we stayed there for a few weeks. Okay, and when we rent the apartment who was sold, so we needed to move. So it's kind of complicated and they're expensive because like you are going to the empty flat and you need to get the furniture. You don't have nothing, okay? Like a plate, okay?
Think that everything is left behind because when they tell you evacuate, you don't take everything.
Yeah.
Like all your furniture, all your house, you take whatever you take in a suitcase or, if you're smart, in 2 boxes or whatever.
Yeah.
Other than that, you cannot go there. It's a closed military area. And now if you're going to live here for a year, you're going to need furniture, you're going to need clothes, you're going to need bed sheets, you're going to need...
buy it all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you buy, or there were lots of contributions. There were lots of good people who contributed stuff and donated stuff.
There's a lot and most people don't know, they don't understand that in Israel, country of 9 to 10 million people, there are 2 million Arabs.
Yeah.
What has the relation and for the most part, everyone gets along. I have Arab Israeli friends who love the Jewish people. But what has that been like since? Has that changed Israelis Jews towards Arabs and Arabs towards Jews? Is everybody looking over their shoulder, or is there still peace? And
at the beginning, it changed a little bit because expectations were that Arabs will be happy about that attack and will kind of like show their support toward Hamas. It didn't happen. And join.
Right.
It didn't happen. They didn't join.
So they like saying Israelis.
Some showed sympathy to Hamas, but that's on an individual level.
All right.
Because there always be people who live in Israel and still sympathetic to Palestinians. That happens. But for the most, I think most of them didn't show support for Hamas. Most of them didn't participate, which is more important. And most of them also understood that they're suffering equally. Especially, lots of my drivers that I use are Israeli Arabs. I mean, I speak to them all the time. They're sitting home waiting for this whole thing to finish so they can get back to work and missing work. So lots of the shop owners I speak to, whether it's people in Bethlehem, whether it's people inside Israel, that's what they're doing. They're sitting and waiting that this whole thing will finish. So I think overall, it didn't change so much. It's pretty much what it used to be. Maybe there's a bit more cautious on one side because you understand that whatever happened from Gaza can easily happen from within Arab villages that are close into Israel.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, anybody who understands that it's much better to be an Israeli, whether it's an Arab or a Jew, than to be a Palestinian in terms of life quality and benefits and all sorts of things. So why would you want to ruin that by joining something brutal like the attack on October 7th?
Yeah. A lot of the world looks at what happened and they, see all of this as something that they're turning it to being Israel's fault. And there are Arabs within Israel that are suffering on account of these people as well as the Israelis.
And by the way, the missiles that have been shot from Lebanon or Gaza don't separate between Arabs and Jews.
Right.
One missile from Lebanon landed in Majd al-Shams, which are Druze. They're not Arabs, but killed children
Up in north.
up in the north. Yeah. I don't know how to call this. Weird. The only casualty from the Iranian attack of the missiles
Right.
was a guy in Jericho. Jericho.
He was walking.
Walking and the missile fell in his head. So, I mean, it doesn't separate between Jews or non-Jews.
Yeah. What is a place that, as a tour guide, that nobody goes to, that you wish they would, and why?
That's a hard question.
I want to make sure I go there next time. Yeah,
that's a good question, though. I know there's lots of places. There's lots of places that I like, but again, it really depends on which tour and which and how they go to. I like the desert. I like the road from, let's say, most groups will get to Beersheba. That's as south as they get.
Yep.
I like the road from Beersheba to Eilat.
Yeah.
Like that part of the desert.
Go to Timnah.
Through the Ramon Crater, the Timnah area, that area.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Less visited by people. I mean, I like geopolitics, so I would rather take people up to the, real Syrian border and do geopolitics of the region, of the area, which people, again, usually they stop by Dan or Caesarea Philippi, and they don't really go
to the Syrian bunker at Mount Bedtal.
Yeah, that's a bit touristy. I mean, to go to the
Valley of Tears,
to go to that area and mainly get people to understand that this different history of the wars and different history of the conflict. And mainly, and that's what most people I realize don't really understand, that the wars in Israel or the situations in Israel has nothing to do with religion or with land or with territories or with money. And it's not even a problem of Israel and its surrounding neighbors, Syria, Egypt, or Lebanon. It's a bit more global. Because what does Iran has to do with Israel? We're far, far away. We don't share a border.
Right.
Why are we fighting? Or why are they fighting with us? So I like to expand the global interests of countries around and the relations between Islam and Judaism and how and why they fight and all those kind of things. And usually after an expression like that, especially with American groups, you can see that they don't really understand the full picture. They still have this whole thing of black and white, good guys and bad guys, and don't really understand that it's more complicated than that.
Yeah. The dynamics of the land and how it was given by divine decree by God. Yeah.
Well, we say a lot of times that when God said to Abraham, I choose you, well, there was an enemy that also said, I choose you too. And ever since then, when we talk about, it's not just geopolitical, the word that he really likes is theopolitical.
Yeah, that's also,
There is a battle between good and evil, but it is on a global landscape. What about, we've always heard about, I've grown up my entire life and people talk about the two-state solution. And there's moments in my life where I thought, okay, that's a possibility. David Friedman just wrote a book called One Jewish State, that the best possible life for the Palestinians, for the Arabs in Judea and Samaria would be that Israel actually controls it all and gives everybody a much better life. But what about the hopes for, and what can we possibly see in the future as far as peace goes?
On a practical level, it will probably be better for the Palestinians to be part of Israel,
right,
and have one state. Because if they compare themselves to the Israeli Arabs who live here, they can see the differences and the benefits. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, this cannot be achieved if they're still hoping for having their own state. So they're not willing to make that step. On the practical level for two-state solution, again, I mean, there's nothing wrong about two-state solution. The only problem with that is that the other state has to live in peace with you. Mm-hmm. And so Gaza, when Israel evacuated the Gaza Strip and gave it all to Palestinians, mm-hmm. this was part A of the two-state solution, because the next part was supposed to be Judea and Samaria.
Right.
But if that didn't work, then why would Judea and Samaria work?
Yeah.
So why would you have a two-state solution? If they have a two-state solution and they'll use that state to fight against you, then you might as well stay in the same solution now and keep fighting, because it doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Well, the question would be, do the Palestinians really want a two-state solution?
I don't think so. I think like Arafat said that once. He wanted the Oslo Agreement, so he can rest, reorganize, and attack again. But the final aim is to have one state, and that's not Israel.
That's right. Yeah.
So as long as that's the goal, then 2 state, 1 state, it doesn't really make any difference, because they simply don't want Israel to be here, or the people to be in Israel.
Right.
And unless we're planning on living and going somewhere else, that's not going to solve.
Yeah.
And we're not.
Yeah. They're always going to be fighting. It reminds me of what Golda Meir said. If the Arabs would put down their guns, we would have peace.
Yeah.
If we put down our guns, we'll have no Israel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You guys are on tour here in the United States. You're hitting all the major places. You're not a concert tour, though. I'm curious. The groups that you're visiting, you're visiting Christians and you're going to churches. I'm assuming not Jewish communities. You're not going to Chabads and synagogues, right?
No.
But you've had a great reception, obviously, because these are people who've come on tours with you, and they've met you guys. They love you guys. But that response, what has that been like, and why is Christian support so important? Not just to the nation of Israel, but to the people of Israel.
Obviously, everybody wanted to be supported and loved. That's where we start. But as a nation, and especially now during this last year of the war, you see lots of injustice, if you want, and lots of wrong ideas. Like you don't really understand as an Israeli or the state of Israel, you don't really understand how come people will make you the aggressor and think that you're the one that is responsible for all this genocide and all those things that they keep saying without really knowing what happens. And then it's a bit more refreshing to meet groups of people who don't think that, and actually support you and understand your goals. Although that, anybody who really reads and understands and looks at the news can understand that there's no genocide, and understand that Israel is not the aggressor, and understand that whoever started is the attack on October 7. I mean, it's all there. But how can you take that and turn it into those false ideas? And that's why when you come to a place and somebody there doesn't think like that and supports you, it's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, I think that from everything that we are seeing, we see that there's a side that does not want to support Israel. In fact, the attack was on October 7th. On October 8th, they showed up on American campuses with the signs already made. So how in the world did that happen?
That's obviously that the Palestinian propaganda was always much better than the Israeli propaganda, and they were a bit more organized in terms of campuses and all those kind of things. So, and it's understood again that this was part of the October 7 attack.
Yeah.
So nobody did that quickly overnight, like you said. It was all coordinated.
Yeah. But on the other hand, we have Christians who are true Christians who actually love Israel, love the Jewish people, and are standing beside them. We see it all the time, and I think you see it when you're going into these churches.
Definitely, of course, you see it and you hear about it, and I keep getting lots of emails and messages from friends and people who told me, asking, "How are you? What's going on?" Trying to understand better than, or like asking, "What can you tell us that the media doesn't tell us?" All those kind of things.
And for me, for example, I just come to the tour, of course, to sell jewelry, but also to have to refill my soul with some good energy, love, and faith. Because I really missed it, and I was kind of empty of it. And thank you guys. You're available to do that.
Oh, we love it. We love it. Is that the general consensus or general feeling of Israelis as you guys look at America and Americans? Do all Israelis you've had so much more interaction with the Christian community in the States that I don't think a lot of Israelis do have that. Yeah. So they're in Israel. They're looking at, I don't know if all they see is what's happening on the college campuses, but
no, I think they see it all. They see what's happening on campuses, of course, and they hear about it and everything. But they also see the fact that Biden stepped in, came into Israel and stood and said with his voice that America supports Israel. That's something really important for people. I mean, even as a statement, it was important. They see the military presence of, Navy ships and airplanes and all those kind of things. They understand that it gives you a backup. And so most Israelis understand. And again, without really going to politics and which president is the president, it doesn't matter because the US or America as a nation stands with Israel. And they see that happening and they see that it's continued to happen. And so in that sense, I think they know, even if they don't understand which Christians are which and how the Christian look at Israel and whatever, they see that the people in general. And yes, they understand that also there's people in campuses and people who protest against Israel and people who are wrong about it. But you also sometimes see on television, you see people who stand for Israel, even on television.
Yep. So you are making the rounds here, and we're going to get to do an event with you guys tomorrow. We're calling it Bagels and Blessings because we love bagels. Any
We love
chance that?
things as well.
And we love blessings as well. So, what can besides prayer, and we want to be able to support financially, and so we're gonna we're having our local group here in Kentucky to come together for bagels. We'll get to talk a little bit, but you are bringing jewelry. Now, Moshe, you're not the jewelry guy, right?
I'm not a jewelry guy. I'm just we're joking that I'm the messenger boy. I pack the jewelry, and I rearrange everything, and do all the paperwork.
Russell.
Yeah, the paperwork and all the business behind it and whatever. Sasha has the nice comfort life.
Yeah.
Just sitting there and playing and creating jewelry.
Just playing, but just playing. But you're the one that actually makes this jewelry. Tell us a little bit about the jewelry. It's not just, you're not just taking metal and gold and rocks and stuff like that. You're there's a message.
There's an idea behind it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I used to run the solar shop in the Genocide, so in the ancient world, and I saw a lot of kind of jewelry. And during COVID, I was thinking to bring something else to you guys, okay? Because I know how important it is. And I started to pick flowers from my forest.
My forest?
My forest means she steps out of her house a couple of minutes and there was a forest.
I know.
And you could pick flowers.
You see, my forest is right over there. It's a little smaller.
It doesn't happen now because she's not there, but yeah, there was an option like that.
Yeah, and so my Christian friends loved the idea and was like, okay, should I get much more deep with that idea? So I took a gold trend course and stone setting course, and it became popular. And what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to bring small and pure part of Israel to you guys. So this is dye in flowers or seashells from a Sea of Galilee shore. So I'm thinking about the connection with Dead Sea Salt, for example. Okay,
Yeah.
I have full of idea.
Yeah.
The line that she's doing now, which she started, is actually handpicked flowers from various places like Jerusalem, Garden Tomb, Mount of Beatitudes, Golan Heights, all those kind of things. And flowers that have biblical meaningful, like mustard seeds flowers, pomegranates, olive tree flowers, all those kind of things. And then setting them into jewelry, into pieces of, design jewelry. That's that first line that's called AB jewelry or botanical jewelry, which is the handmade flowers. And that's how we started. In the shop, of course, we have other stuff, also some interesting things that we kind of collected over the time. But the AB jewelry is the most, that's the line that comes with the message behind it or with an idea behind it. Another interesting thing that we have that I think most people would appreciate and like, and I'm pretty sure you saw it because in Israel until COVID, it existed in a shop or two, but not very, it's sort of rare. Are you familiar with what's called the Nano Bible jewelry?
Yes.
So Nano Bible, there's few versions, but the original version of Nano Bible is Sasha's design. She designed the pieces when she was in Genocide still. She designed the piece itself, and then in every piece you put that little 5x5 silicone that has the entire Bible on it.
Yeah. So in a really, I don't know if you know this, but
It's
very
very
small, like it's called the Nano Bible.
Yeah.
And writes the entire Bible.
Yeah, right.
I don't even know
The
how
entire Old Testament either in Hebrew or the New Testament in Greek. It's 1.6 million characters on a 5x5 millimeter silicon thing.
There you go.
And the laser shoots beams. And so in the store in Genosar, we had the microscope that magnifies 150 times, 150,000 times. And you could actually put that sim and read the Hebrew or the Greek if you read them. And what's interesting, that's an interesting point, laser beam can work straight lines. And so Hebrew and Greek is perfect for that because most of the letters are square letters.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's easier to write. So that line of Nano Bible has either old or new or both on pieces of jewelry that are really significant.
So you have your own scribe as a laser, right?
Yeah. We have our own laser beam. So that's the idea. The idea was to bring that to people and bring like jewelry that has message behind it. And now that there's no tourism and COVID and no tourism, whatever, we decided to bring it to the people rather than have people come to us. This is why we're doing those tours now.
That's great. Well, we want to be able to just let our audience and those who are listening, if you go, I know some of you are just listening through Apple or Spotify, but literally just go to our website, thejewishroad.com, hit podcasts, find this episode, which will, I think, be 115. Your episode 115.
Oh, wow.
And when you go there, we will put a link to that store because what is the website?
The website is very easy. It's called Beautiful Israel Store, one word.
Oh, Beautiful Israel Store.
BeautifulIsraelStore.com.
There you go. That makes it easy. So
that's very easy.
Go there or go to our website and we'll put a link in the show notes there and they'll be able to do that. But we want to be able to support. We love Israel. We love the people of Israel. And while we can't be there physically, the moment the doors open, we'll be there again. But until then, we want to support because this is the place, right? This is where the story has happened, is happening, and will happen.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I mean, it warms your heart to begin with. It's not understood. It doesn't go without saying. And it's really, really important. Important for us on a personal level, and important for everybody in Israel, knowing that, like you, there's other groups who stand and support Israel.
Of course. Well, until then, what we say at the end of all of our podcasts is Sha'alu Shalom Yerushalayim.
Pray for peace of
Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Yeah, well, that's practical, and that's important.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Shalom.
Thank you so much. Shalom. Thank you.